In today's video, your step-by-step guide to go from bulking to cutting.
All by myself.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. Welcome to 2020, the first video of the year. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. 2019 was one amazing year. This year I expect to be no less than even more spectacular. And I guess we'll just start it off by talking about how we go from a bulking phase to a cutting phase, all that you need to know, calories, how to adjust your cardio, how to adjust your mindset, what to expect, the rate of fat loss, all these things. I'm going to go over this. And the question came actually from my Instagram direct message, so I'll put it on the screen here. And if you guys have questions you'd like to ask, please go to my Instagram, send me a direct message, and we'll discuss them. So I'll read the question, and then we'll get into today's topic. I've been bulking for the past months, and I would say that I have made a lot of progress. I did my own research about bulking up. However, now that I want to cut, I don't see a lot of good research. Would you be able to explain a few steps about going from bulking to cutting without losing a lot of muscle? All right, so let's talk about the most important factors when it goes from, let's say, a bulk to a cut. When you come from a bulk, you've been eating in a surplus for a while. Hopefully you've gotten stronger, put on a bunch of muscle. No doubtedly, you probably added a little bit of body fat. But here is where we make that transition from bulking to cutting. And the most important thing for anybody that I'm working with as a coach, as a client, as a friend, anyone who I want to help out with this process, we have to set the goal, okay? The goal cannot simply be to lose a little bit of weight. There needs to be an actual attainable goal. Whether that means you are now 250 pounds and you want to get to 200, whether or not that means you're 150 pounds and you want to get to 140, set a real attainable goal. The most successful people when it comes to getting lean are those that have a very, very tangible goal, such as competition, a photo shoot, a wedding. Whenever there is a deadline, all decisions related to that deadline become very, very different. When you have some friends in town, or when you get invited out to do something socially, and you don't have a tangible goal, you just say to yourself, well, no big deal, I'm just gonna go hang out with my friends and next week I'll get back on it. But here's the thing, and you know this. There's always something. There's always going to be something that comes up. You are always going to have an excuse to not follow your plan. So you have to set a tangible goal. Otherwise, you will not attain it. That's it. Shut this video off right now if you do not want to set a tangible, attainable goal, because you're just going to be wasting your time with the rest of the information that's about to come. Okay, now that we have set our tangible, attainable goal, let's talk about a timeline. Yes. It's the beginning of the year. It's a wonderful time for resolutions and changes to our approach. And if you want to get lean for summer, if you want to be shredded for this summer, it should start now. It doesn't start in the spring. It starts right now because it takes a little while. So let's talk about a timeline. That's the second thing. Okay, we've set our tangible goal. I want to lose 15 pounds. Now set a realistic timeline. When we transition from a bulk to a cut, we should expect to lose around 1% of our body weight per week. That's right. So if you are a 200-pound male, you should expect to lose around 2 pounds per week initially. Now, as you have less body fat to lose, that's going to slow down to maybe even 0.5% of your weight per week. But the real purpose of that is that we don't get in a rush and we don't get discouraged. I've often had new clients check in with me after their first week on a cutting phase, down 3 pounds, and disappointed that it wasn't more. Well, if you've ever started a cutting phase or changed your diet in any way, there are so many dynamic things going on that it's important that we get out of our own heads and set tangible goals. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, give yourself the appropriate amount of time, because we want to lose 10 pounds of body fat while keeping all our hard-earned muscle. And that's the real goal here. A bulk was not successful unless when we cut, we can lose the body fat and maintain. That should be the goal. Bulk, put on more muscle, cut down, find our happy place and maintain from there. If you want to lose 15 pounds and you give yourself, say, 10 weeks, 1.5 pounds a week, fantastic. Let's get on it and don't let anything get in your way. If something comes up, say, hey, I'm working on something, I have to say no tonight. Or if your friends go out drinking, maybe you just be the designated driver and you just have Diet Cokes all night. I've done that. It works great. So let's talk about how we transition our calories or our macros when we go from bulking to cutting. Because now that we have a goal, what we need to do is take a look at our overall approach. And most people, when they're bulking, are a little bit looser with their macronutrient intake, okay? They're basically trying to hit, like, say, some higher protein throughout the day and then keep their calories elevated throughout. If you don't really know what your overall macronutrient or calorie intake is and you've been bulking for a while, well, the best thing to do is before you transition into a cut is keep everything the same for 3 or 4 days and do a diet recall. Just start writing down everything that you're at so you can get an actual real number that you're at. So you're not just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it sticks. You want a real number, okay? So let's say you've been eating 3,000 calories a day. Wonderful. Let's say you've been doing no cardio. Now, there is no magic diet to fat loss. There is no magic food. There is no magic cardio. What we need to do is create a caloric deficit. And a lot of this comes down to the personality of the individual. Would you rather eat a little bit less? Or would you rather move a little bit more or use a combination? So if someone was on, say, 3,000 calories, what I would really want to do if we're focusing on keeping all our muscle is keep the protein content pretty steady. We're also going to keep the fat in a very good range, 20 to 25% of our total calories throughout the process. Why? Because fat is essential, okay? It's essential for our hormones and many things. So we don't want to bring fat too low. We got to keep fat in a nice range. The thing that's not essential is carbohydrates. So this is where we can find the greatest variation. So when you pull out carbohydrates, you're going to find that hunger might kick up a little bit, but hunger should be associated with any type of caloric restriction. This is our body's barometer saying, hey, calories are low, you should go eat some more. You're gonna have to resist that urge. But that's where having the tangible, attainable goal is really gonna help you. When you know you have a goal ahead of you, sticking to a diet is not that bad. In fact, the psychology of eating for me, when I'm in a cutting phase, if I don't feel a little bit hungry throughout the day, I feel like I'm not doing it right. But what I would typically do is start by creating a 300 to 500 calorie deficit per day for an individual. We can do that through restricting calories. I would start with carbohydrates, especially if you're at something like 3,000 calories a day. But you can also just move more. Cardio, although it becomes a bad word for many, is a fantastic way to create a caloric deficit. But how do we ensure we're keeping our muscle? The best way to ensure that we're keeping the muscle is that we do no changes to our training. We want to keep doing the same type of training that helped us build the muscle. Use the diet and the cardio to create the deficit, but use the training to continue building and keeping all the muscle that you've earned. Now, sometimes people will discuss this idea of training with a higher rep range to burn fat. Well, this will essentially increase the amount of calories that you burn during a workout, but I would implore you not to do this. Don't change your training style to lose body fat. I like to simply have somebody start with 10 to 15 minutes of incline treadmill walking every day that they train. Why? You're already going to the gym. You're in the mindset to go work out. Why not just get to the gym, start walking? 10 to 15 minutes on an incline. It doesn't sound like much. I promise you, you'll be surprised at the benefit, especially if you are now being adherent to your diet. So now that we know exactly what to do with setting a goal, we know exactly what to do with our training and with our cardio to start this cut, let's talk about perhaps the most important part, and that is changing our habits. If you've been bulking for a while and you've been dirty bulking where you haven't been super strict with your diet, your macros, your calories, what we need to do here is shift the mindset in the approach of the daily routine. No longer can you go and just eat based around what sounds good. You need to plan ahead. Well, how does that work? Cooking in bulk and putting your meals in, say, Tupperware, or putting meals in the fridge ahead of time so that you can simply grab something, stay on your diet, and not have to think, is going to be a game changer for just about everybody. Bringing your food to work, that is huge. Not going out to lunch, not submitting to whatever food you have access to at the time. A lot of people don't have time to, say, meal prep, or they don't want to make time to meal prep. There are some amazing companies out there. I think I'm actually wearing it. Yep, this is Icon Meals. I am an Icon Meals sponsored athlete. So I have a code. It's Paul10. If you go to iconmeals.com, scroll down, pick out some meals. They ship them directly to your house, frozen. You heat them up for 2.5 minutes. They're delicious. It helps you stay on your diet. Why? Because you're not just using what you have around you. These type of habit changes of not taking no for an answer, changing your habits, your daily routines is what's going to be required to have a successful cut, okay? Bulking, while wonderful, is generally a lot more loose. Cutting actually requires that you change your approach to your daily routine. You need to be planning ahead better. You need to be scheduling things. When are you going to go to the gym? When are you going to do your cardio? When are you going to do your meal prep? All of these things are going to have a positive impact on your response. Once you see that scale start moving, once people start to comment that you're looking more fit, that momentum is only going to drive you to keep working harder. All right, guys, that's a great way to start 2020. Thank you for the awesome question. Keep the questions coming, guys. We got a lot to do this year, and I can't wait to get it done with you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.